Rediscovering Transcendence, Dehypnotizing the Human Psyche, and Harmonizing Relationships. Handbook for Connecting with the Spirit Within and Bringing Some Empathy to This World. By Martin User, July 2022. Know Yourself and Be Whole. Note, this is an expanded edition of my previous ebook, Resonance with the Self. A new chapter has been added on 7 key principles for an integral kind of science, as well as a new appendix on the symbolism of the 7 sacraments. Chapter 5 has been rewritten and Chapter 4 has been expanded with some new items. Goals of this book: understanding the crisis of civilization, lack of vision, materialistic values, the long descent downwards. Regaining purpose of life, the position of the human being in the world. Finding meaning in a fragmented world. Developing a solid understanding of life. Forming a sound vision of one's role in society. Developing a philosophy of life. Working together to make a transition to a wholesome world. From egocentric to ecocentric. Index of content. Foreword. Introduction. Chapter 1: Perception and Beliefs. Perception is everything. Belief systems, the heritage of humankind. One sees what one believes to be true, a parable. Values guide us in our thoughts and beliefs. Which are your values? A short questionnaire. Psychocybernetics, the goal-directed brain-mind. Chapter 2: An analysis of the thinking process. What are thoughts? A new perspective. The character of thoughts. The process of thinking. Conscious thinking, observing the stream of thoughts. A simple technique to neutralize negative thoughts. The 7 aspects of thinking changing the pattern of thinking. The cycle of thought, action, habit, character. Stoicism, panpsychism, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher. Observing the stream of consciousness. Pythagorean exercise. Controlling the flow of thoughts. Is there a matrix or storehouse of impressions? Summary of exercises. Chapter 3: The Self, Your True Parent. The Luminous Self. Testimonies of encounters with the Self. Some universal principles of concern to humans. The Golden Rule: virtues are all important. What you sow is what you reap. Learn to become who you really are. Unity of all life. Chapter 4: Self, Society, Ecosystem. The Money System. Ecological Considerations. Peak Prosperity Course. Degrowth. Artificial Intelligence. Biotechnology and Big Pharma. Climate Change. Geopolitics. Social Systems. Philosophy, Panpsychism. Psychological Counseling and Online Groups. Chapter 5: Death and the Afterlife. Introduction. Traditional views of death don't encourage us to think about it. Why knowledge of the processes of death is useful. Man, a stream of consciousness. Death is a gradual process. After-death states according to Theosophy. How can we verify the given information ourselves? Bibliography. Chapter 6. Roberto Assagioli's Psychosynthesis and the Act of Will. Introduction. Phases of the Act of Will. Bringing a vision into manifestation. Some concluding remarks. Chapter 7: 7 Key Axioms for an Integral Kind of Science. Cycles are ubiquitous in nature. Actions have consequences. Role of feedback. Nature is made up of holons, part-whole complexes. Everything has a unique pattern of vibration. Progressive evolution. Duality is the hallmark of manifestation. Unity in diversity. Appendix A: A monadic model of the human being. Appendix B: Qualities working within the human psyche. Appendix C: Light on the Sacraments, the hidden or esoteric meaning of the 7 sacraments. Foreword. In today's fragmented society, many people seem to have lost any sense of meaning and purpose. Our materialistic science has taught us that we are just a kind of advanced ape with a big brain. Survival of the fittest and fierce competition has been hammered in like dogma. Religion has lost its appeal for many because of its inconsistency or incompatibility with science. God is dead, Friedrich Nietzsche said. To make matters worse, the world is facing threats like climate change, ecological destruction, pandemics, wars, resource scarcity, financial instability, authoritarian regimes, psychopathic leadership, and so on. Yet, this is not the whole story. Throughout the ages there have been and still are spiritual teachers who have tried to help the human race by explaining that there is more to this world than the eye can see. They have provided us with insights that could transform this world into a much better place than it currently is. Indeed, the goal of this book is to summarize some of the essence of these teachings and provide some techniques and practices for you to expand your awareness of what life, death, cooperation, and struggle is all about. Some emphasis is given to the inner game and how to deal with the conflicting impulses in your system. Space is reserved on some pages to write down your observations and experiences with the exercises. The book contains a lot of information and ideas that are probably new to the reader. So, a gradual absorption and digestion of the material seems warranted. If you, the reader, find some ideas difficult to accept, then put these on a mental shelf for later consideration. One cannot develop a new philosophy of life in one day, week, or even a year. It takes time. Attention will also be given to new organizations that strive to bundle individual efforts to change the course humanity is currently on. After all, insights need to be applied in one's daily life, and today that life influences the whole globe through its consumption and ecological footprint. May this information be of help to you, the reader, and the people you connect with. In case you want to contact me, email me at resonanceself@protonmail.com. Thanks goes to all those who have inspired me to write this book. Martin User. My academia. EDU page. My library at archive.org. Questions and suggestions, in English only, can be sent to resonanceself@pm.com. A Facebook group or an alternative platform might be set up by me when there is sufficient interest for it. Introduction. The topics of this book comprise a vast terrain. They range from perception, belief systems and worldviews, religion, science, and philosophy, to the underlying principles that can be seen operating throughout nature. Some of this material can be found elaborated in my book Mysteries of the Human Mind, and my article on Wittgen, The Practical Gnostic Teachings of Ralph Moriarty Debit, freely available at my archive. Here, I have condensed some of that material and added some new insights and new articles of mine. Some may ask, why have I chosen the title Rediscovering Transcendence, Dehypnotizing the Human Psyche and Harmonizing Relationships? The reason is that I believe that there is a growing need and interest among humans to find a basis to ground one's daily life practices upon. There is a felt need to connect to fellow humans on a deeper level. The question is, how to do that? My answer is that one needs to practice some introspection and discover the ground of one's being. Deep inside oneself, one can see the self operating. In my book Resonance with the Self, I wrote as the reason for that title, this is as follows: unless one has some clarity in mind as to one's purpose and goals in life that fit well with one's character and potential, one will struggle endlessly and may well despair as to the meaning of life at all. The study of first principles of how nature works will give satisfaction to the brain and heart. Learning to cooperate with nature, including humans, brings joy to the self, and the self as well. The self refers to that part in you that is the spiritual part. In actuality, the self is your parent from which you originate. Learning to attune to the self means to discover who you are, deep inside, and learning to cooperate with others for a more harmonious world. What could be more important? This is also the natural way to evolve, to unfold one's potential. As to the phrase dehypnotizing the human psyche, one need only point at the fear-mongering by the mainstream media and politicians during the last 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Matthias Desmet has written a pertinent book on the mass formation and hysteria or mass hypnosis during said period. See YouTube for interviews. Title of the book: The Psychology of Totalitarianism. Besides that, in Chapter 2, the reader will discover that the whole of our education system fails to teach people the skills and insights needed for leading a harmonious life. I'm thinking of basic psychological knowledge, social interactions, knowledge about the diverse religions, practical gardening skills, physical training, for a starter. The techniques and practices I describe in this book will provide some help to those who are seeking to get a clearer picture of the situation they find themselves in, and of the global state of affairs at this time in history. It is not a scheme of get rich and happy quick, of which too many already exist. It is not the little self or ego personality that is the center around which everything revolves, but the larger world in which it is embedded that should matter. Empathy is the quality that is sorely needed in our world. One exercise that can be very helpful in this regard is to practice taking multiple perspectives, learn to see situations from multiple angles or perspectives. This will broaden one's context sensitivity and enables a better understanding of the ideas and behavior of other persons. If one can put oneself into the shoes of another person who holds an opposite view of yours, then one may learn quite a bit. One can also practice defending such an opposite view by considering arguments that would favor such a view. Many false beliefs need to be exposed and wrong conditioning needs to be undone, especially with regard to values. Humanity as a whole will need a long time to reach that point. You, as an individual, have an opportunity to start now and have a deep look inside yourself. By doing so, you are also influencing your environment, since all is connected in this world and the universe at large. Transforming the self or personality is hard work at times. Yet, the gratification and joy can be immense. Have a pleasant and fruitful journey. The author.